Hey everyone, today we're going to tie the Hawkins Triple Double, a fly invented by Chuck Hawkins out of Michigan. This streamer has pretty much everything that we like in a streamer. Lead eyes for weight, rabbit zonker strip for lifelike movement, rubber legs, and a little bit of flash. You can tie this fly in all kinds of different color combinations. The one I'm going to tie today is more of a natural color. I'm going to use natural brown, regular brown rabbit zonker, and then chinchilla actually to accent, to stand out just there a little bit for more of a natural looking streamer. All right, let's get to it. All right, everybody, here is a Hawkins Triple Double in the vise. I'm going to be tying this color combination. There are tons of color combinations you can do on this fly, but this one's going to be more of a natural brown color scheme. So I'm putting the hook in the vise. I'm using a Mustad R74 9672 streamer hook, 4XL, 2XH in size 2, and my eye is Hairline's double pupil lead eye in size large. The color, black with fluorescent chartreuse and a black pupil. And again, you can do all kinds of different color combinations with the eye, with the flash, with the rabbit, whatever you like. So I'm going to get the threads started. Trim that. Now with this fly, you actually don't put the lead eyes on the top of the shank. I'm going to flip the vise, I'm going to flip the hook upside down in the vise, and I'm going to tie this lead eye in on the bottom of the shank. Hold it in place, and using crisscrossing wraps, running the figure 8, around those lead eyes. And then you can also wrap the thread around the base like so. Just a mix. Do a few from that angle, do a few figure 8s. Nice and tight to cinch those eyes down. Once you've done that, flip back over. I'm going to run that thread back to just barely behind the point of the hook. And I left myself a considerable gap right there, because I'm going to need that gap later on to tie in my rabbit fur near the end of this fly. Okay, the next step is bucktail. I'm using a piece of olive bucktail here. This is going to help stabilize the tail material, in this case the rabbit fur. Cut a piece of that and tie it in nice and tight. Now, not so tight that I can't pull this back like so. And I usually cut this as well, as a lot of this bucktail is hidden. Again, it stabilizes the other materials. Trim that. Cover that bucktail up, then run it back to my starting point slightly behind the point of the hook. Now for my first rabbit zonker. I'm using 3 different colors of rabbit zonker. The blending of the colors in this fly, of the rabbit in this fly, are what really make it. So I'm using brown, rabbit zonker, also natural brown, and then chinchilla. So the first piece, my natural brown, I'm going to tie in right there behind the point. I want to make sure this is going to be the tail of the fly, but also the top of the fly, of the streamer as well. I want to make sure that tail is roughly as long as the shank of the hook. Now, if it's too long, nice thing is I can always trim it. If it's too short, then I'm out of luck. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm stripping the fibers back to expose the hide. And if you have a little issue with that, you can use saliva, spit on your fingers, and slick it back. All right. Now, I'm gonna tie that first piece of rabbit zonker in nice and tight, like so. Now, this I'm going to ignore for the time being. I'm going to pull that strip back out of the way because now it's time to put my other 2 strips in. The next color, chinchilla, I cleared the hide there of the fur and cinch that down. That piece I'm also going to fold back and run my thread in front of it. So now I have 2 different pieces in. Doing the same thing with the brown. This is your regular brown. I'm going to do the same with it. Nice and tight. Now I'm using regular rabbit zonker. Cross-cut rabbit is great as well. And Chuck Hawkin's original pattern calls for the cross-cut, but you can use both. All right, now I've got all 3 of my strips of rabbit. I'm going to run my thread up to the eye. The lead eye. Okay. The last 2 pieces I've tied in, the brown and the chinchilla, these are going to be the fly's belly. What I want to do is hold those 2 pieces parallel, like so. So I'm going to palmer these forward at the same time. I don't, however, want them to overlap. I want them to lay side by side with each wrap. I'm getting on that fur out of the way as much as I can. All right, so I'm going to start to palmer. Now the trick here, once you go around once, to prevent overlapping, which can trap those fibers of the rabbit fur, I want to come at a severe angle, or at a very sharp angle for my next wrap. Not here so much, but right here. Roughly about a 45. And with each wrap, I'm going to stroke those fibers back. And I'm going to go all the way to my eye, to the lead eye there. Continuing to stroke back. Once I'm here, I'm going to come to the top of the lead eye, and I'm going to cinch that down nice and tight. Once I've done that, I'm going to trim both of those close. And do a few wraps to tighten that down. Okay. Now, for the rubber legs. Downstairs in the shop, we have some legs similar to this. Again, you can use all types of different color legs, but Chacony's barred crusher legs in brown clear. Again, you can use all kinds. Now I've pulled 2 legs off. I'm going to cut each of those in half. So I'll have roughly that much material I'm working with. I'll tie those in. Right behind the lead eye. 2 on either side of the fly. I trim that excess. However, it doesn't necessarily have to be super neat because this first rabbit zonker that I tied in, it's now time to pull that forward. I'm going to pull it forward, making sure that there are 2 legs on one side of the fly, 2 legs on the other. Pull it nice and tight. Oops. What I need to do is bring my thread in front. Make sure you bring your thread in front of the lead eye, because here is where I'm going to secure that final rabbit strip. His legs getting wild on me. There we go. Cinch that down. Trim, and then cover that up. There's one more thing to do on this fly. That's to add the flash on the top. I'm using a Flashaboo in bright green chartreuse. Now you can use as much or as little flash as you wish. You don't necessarily have to use any flash. But roughly the halfway point of my pieces, I'm going to tie them in on top of the fly in front of the eye there. Then I'm going to fold the ends that were in front behind and then wrap those in. Or do some wraps. I'm going to cover up that rabbit zonker hide. And eventually, what I'm going to do is, what I'll be able to do is go back, trim anything I need to. If the legs are too long for my liking. If the flash is too long for my liking, I can fix those issues. So whip finish and trim, and we are finished. That is the Hawkin's Triple Double. have fun playing around with the color combinations of this fly. It's a really fun one to tie.